What does an album cover mean to you? To me, it's a way to tease the shit that you're about to experience the second you put on those headphones. An album cover can be just as important as the music included with that cover. Like shit, I'm not gonna listen to an album if the album cover is just some butt. Well, that kind of depends though, cause on God, there are some albums people listen to just cause the cover is so fucking absurd. I think it's really important that if you an artist, you focus on creating an album cover that has an everlasting effect where it's engraved into the listener's mind. Engraved to a point where the replay value could possibly be just because of the album cover itself. It's important that motherfuckers don't be lazy when it comes to making a cover that stands out. Unless you Kanye. At that point, you can do whatever the fuck you want and make your album cover black. But shit, even though the album cover has nothing going for it, like quite literally, I honestly couldn't think of it being any other cover. I could imagine Vultures 1 being a different cover though. You know it's bad when the Vultures trilogy is probably one of the only Kanye covers I would change. Now, y'all probably have seen my last video on how I talked about some shitty album covers. Well, I can't guarantee this the entire video, but maybe it's time we spread some positivity in this world and look at the goated side of album covers, and maybe we'll all come to the conclusion by the end of this video that every album cover, mid or not, serves a purpose. Except for Vultures 1. Next album cover we about to see is Kanye's booty turned around along with his wife. But hey, before we start, y'all already know to join that Discord, discord.gg/Vertega. And yeah, subscribe, because we trying to hit 100K. Also follow me on Insta. If we get to 1K followers, shit, I might even post a few flicks with my face. Who knows? Because I know some of y'all dick riders need something new for your next goon sesh. Alright, there are a lot of different type of album covers out there. We got the overcomplicated ones, the shitty ones, and of course the simplistic ones. But one thing's for sure, it doesn't matter what kind of album cover it is, you'll always have some sort of opinion on it, bad or good. And that's what an album cover is all about. And you know, it may not always be the case that an album cover is the leading cause to you wanting to play that album, because sometimes, like my example with Donda, the name of the artist itself is what sells the listener. And if an artist can get to a point in their career where they could just literally slap their name onto the cover and the title, then you know they made it. Like shit, Beyonce ain't the only one who can make simple album covers and have it sell. Jay-Z literally has an album cover where at the top it simply says, this is his 13th studio album. Whose 13th studio album is this? If I didn't listen to Jay-Z, I would be mad confused seeing an album cover like this. Like bro thinks he got so much aura, he starts referring to himself in the third person. But hey, this is still a goated album cover, despite you know, the recent Diddy allegations. Simplistic album covers gotta be one of my favorite types of album covers, because even though it may look bland, there's usually always something less broader that some people won't get first time looking at it. For example, Mac Miller's Faces. At first glance, it looks simple, but if you take a deeper look, you'll find the cover uses a chaotic mix of colors, shapes, and figures to represent the inner workings of Mac's mind during the creation of the project. And there's a lot more that I didn't mention about this cover that proves just exactly what this album is all about. But I feel like I already talked about this in my Mac Miller video already, so if you want to see more in-depth shit about Mac, give it a watch. But hey, even Mac Miller's recent posthumous album cover is pretty good. Balloonerism was a project sitting in the vault for a while. Hearing all the leaks I heard a while back, and then finally seeing it released was so surreal. This cover not only has that simplistic look, but it's exactly what I would expect the cover to such a beautiful album to be. Mac pretty much does a great job at making each album cover fit the vibe of the projects he makes. But one artist's album covers who I can't get enough of is, obviously Tyler the Creator. And hey, before I meet Ryden for the 20th time on this channel, hear me out. Igor Probably is one of the most iconic covers of the modern day. Anybody who is into this type of music instantly knows who made this album. I mean, all it is just bro's face pasted onto a blank pink background. And for some reason, it expresses more emotions than whatever the fuck these rappers gotta put out nowadays. But hey, we all know how talented the members from Odd Future are. And a lot of them have really great album covers that will be looked at as classics years to come. Earl Sweatshirt creates this simple but eerie album cover that at first glance, you might not think it makes sense for the album, but oh boy, it does. This cover is just simply genius. By obscuring his face, Earl moves away from the typical self-centered approach to album covers. An attempt to remove his individual ego is what Earl is trying to do, allowing the listener to focus on the music and its themes rather than his personal image. That's just something not a lot of artists can do nowadays, with all these artists trying to make it obvious that this is their art. But what Earl does, in despite of all these modern album cover tactics, is show that the only thing that matters is the art being produced. And Earl always has a way of this self-reflection and a detached ego that makes him so special. Frank Ocean creates two of the most iconic covers of our modern era, and then pretty much dips. I mean, we all kind of over it, but we ain't forgetting that shitty ass Coachella performance, Frank. Hope bro's doing good though. Anyways, back to my rant on simple covers. Death Grips has a great album cover with the Money Store, and then proceeds to make a cock one of their next album covers. Shit, no one got the balls to do what this group does. Like, why this low-key kinda tough though? Don't call me gay. I'm having flashbacks from the comments on that Frank Ocean vid I made. Take a look at some classic album covers though. Miles Davis is the GOAT at creating some of the best jazz album covers you've ever seen. I mean, we got shit like Bitches Brew, Kinda Blue, In a Silent Way. All covers that show just exactly the kind of jazz you about to get yourself into. I mean, if we're gonna talk about classics, we gotta talk about some rock, obviously. And Pink Floyd's covers are yet again another great example of what makes an album cover good. I have a poster of the Dark Side of the Moon in my room for a reason, bro. I mean, this band is so iconic that its influence is low-key unmatched. Y'all have seen this cover by Metro before, huh? Well, yeah, this cover right here would not exist if it wasn't for the influence of Pink Floyd's Wish You Were Here. The 20th century definitely holds room for some of the most iconic album covers of all time. The Beatles' Abbey Road, honestly probably one of the most recognized covers in history. Michael Jackson's Thriller, also probably one of the most recognized albums of our time. Nirvana's Nevermind, a weird cover, but oh god, I bet your weird ass uncle who only listens to grunge metal knows about this album too. Radiohead moved its way to the 21st century a bit, as well as the 20th century, but they for real got some of the most beautiful album covers ever in alternative rock. In Rainbows, banger, especially if you're looking at this cover while listening to Weird Fishes. Kid A, another banger. The Bends, it's a bit of an interesting cover choice, but A, it's a banger too. Now, since I talk about modern music a lot more on this channel, obviously hip-hop, rap, and R&B are probably some of my favorite album covers ever. I ain't gonna continue this video without talking about To Pimp a Butterfly though. On God, one of the best hip-hop album covers ever. Layered with such intense motifs and references, on God, someone can make a 20-minute analysis of just the album cover itself. Sade, one of my favorite R&B artists, of course has some bangers up her belt, like Lovers Rock or Love Deluxe. But hey, we ain't talking about some soul without mentioning the king of soul rap at one point, Kanye West. Yeah, we all know I've talked my shit, and I know it's not a great time to be dick riding Kanye too much, but hey, he's made some iconic covers that will be looked back as straight art years to come. Also, Scaring the Hoes, the album cover, is some pure art. I ain't gonna hold you. This shit is exactly what I wanted and more from a Peggy album cover. And on God, it just shows that you ain't getting no pussy if you decide to play this thing. Also, Peggy's boy, Danny Brown, has a classic ass cover in hip hop that y'all need to give credit to. Atrocity Exhibition is great, bro. Yeah, you about to scare the hoes with the music, but they just don't get it. Yeah, bro, I'm gonna be lonely forever. But hey, let's spit out some more real quick. I don't know if you guys know who Detaje is. He got a pretty fire cover. Same with Quedeca's I Didn't Mean to Haunt You. We also got Illmatic, Man on the Moon, Purple Rain, Lauryn Hill, Billy Joel's The Stranger, Food, Denzel's Melt My Eyes, and Lil B's Frozen mixtape. Alright, that's the vid. Subscribe, follow me on Insta. But yeah, we out.